If you have already watched Tomorrow Never Dies, you know this is one of those Bond movies that does not waste your time. It comes out of the gate like, alright, here's a jet, here's a countdown, here's chaos, and it never really lets off the gas. It is sleek, loud, funny, and weirdly ahead of its time because the villain is not trying to rule the world with lasers, he is trying to rule it with headlines. Before we jump in, if you love movies that are pure entertainment and still have something smart hiding underneath the explosions, hit like and subscribe. I do these breakdowns all the time, especially the ones that fans already love and want to relive. The thing I appreciate most about this script is how confident it is. The opening is immediate escalation. Military tension, nuclear torpedoes, a frantic countdown, and Bond doing the most Bond thing possible, which is casually treating a global incident like it is a timed obstacle course. It establishes the tone early. This is a high-stakes thriller, but it is also having fun being a Bond movie. And then we get to Elliot Carver, who is genuinely one of the most satisfying Bond villains because he is basically a walking prediction. Watching this now feels almost unfair because the concept hits so hard. A media tycoon with satellites, networks, software, and a complete obsession with controlling the narrative. He literally treats a global crisis like a product launch. He is not just evil. He is smug about being evil, and that makes him entertaining in the best way. The script gives him these big monologues where he is half joking, half confessing, and you can feel the narcissism pouring out. It is like if a late-night host and a dictator got fused into one character and then handed a news empire. What makes the story click is the villain's plan. It is not random, it is structured. He manufactures conflict, rigs information, manipulates GPS signals, frames incidents, and pushes two nations toward war so he can profit and gain broadcast rights. That is such a clean Bond concept because it feels global, it feels modern, and it lets the movie flex the spy angle and the action angle at the same time. It also gives fans the deeply satisfying feeling of watching Bond pull at threads until the whole conspiracy unravels. Also, the Paris Carver thread adds serious emotional spice. The script uses her as more than a plot checkpoint. She is the human cost of Carver's obsession. She is trapped in a marriage that looks glamorous from far away and terrifying up close, and the Bond and Paris scenes have that classic bittersweet energy. It is flirty, tense, and sad in the way only Bond can manage, like he is allergic to happiness and still keeps checking the menu. The dialogue between them carries history without needing a long exposition dump, and it adds genuine stakes because suddenly this story is not only about geopolitics. It is about people getting burned by power. Now let's give flowers to the action design because this script is basically a highlight reel of iconic Bond set pieces. You get the corporate party infiltration, the stealthy investigation beats, and then it ramps into full throttle chaos. The Hamburg sequence with the BMW is peak Bond gadget fantasy. Remote control driving, the car basically being a moving weapons platform, and the script leaning into the comedy of Bond casually asking about insurance coverage like he does not already know he is about to turn the city into a demolition derby. That kind of humor is what makes Bond work. It breaks tension without killing the cool factor. And then there is Wai Lin. This is where the movie levels up for a lot of fans because she is not a sidekick. She is a force. The script treats her like a full equal, not a tag-along. She is competent, relentless, and she brings a different energy to the action that makes every sequence sharper. The partnership dynamic is fun because it is not just Bond saving the day. It is Bond trying to keep up. When a Bond movie gives you that two pros teaming up vibe, it becomes instantly rewatchable because every scene has playful friction and mutual respect. Another thing fans appreciate is how this movie balances classic Bond flavor with modern pacing. You still get the slick one-liners. You still get the globe-hopping feeling. You still get the tech. But it is wrapped in a story that moves fast and stays focused. Even the exposition is delivered with momentum because it is constantly tied to urgency. The script keeps reminding you that this villain is creating a war in real time, and Bond is always one step behind the next headline. The tomorrow's news today concept is the secret sauce. It makes everything feel like a ticking clock because the villain's weapon is speed. He can broadcast lies faster than anyone can verify truth. And watching Bond fight that is satisfying because it is a different kind of villain. Carver is not hiding in a volcano. He is standing under spotlights, smiling for cameras, and daring the world to stop him. That is such a smart inversion of the usual villain formula, and it is why people who love this movie defend it so hard. It is not only cool, it is clever. Even the supporting pieces are fun, the newsroom war room vibe, the idea of software being released full of bugs. So everyone has to keep upgrading. The corporate cruelty played like comedy. It is satirical without turning into a lecture. The script does not stop the movie to preach. It just lets the villain talk and you laugh. And then you realize you are laughing at something uncomfortably real. That is a great trick. And because this is Bond, the movie still gives you the fantasy. Bond walking into spaces like he owns them. Bond turning awkward situations into charm. Bond improvising in danger. The film understands what you came for, and it delivers it with style. It also has that particular Brosnan era polish where everything feels glossy and cinematic, like the whole world is slightly more expensive than real life. If you are a fan of this one, you already know why it holds up in the Bond lineup. The villain is memorable. The plot feels relevant. The action is clean and frequent. The partnership with Wai Lin is one of the better dynamics in the franchise. And the whole movie has this confident energy where it knows it is entertaining you, and it is proud of it. And honestly, this is one of those entries that rewards rewatching because you start noticing how many moving parts are clicking at once. The clues, the misdirection, the timing of the reveals, and how the film keeps bouncing between glamour and danger without ever losing momentum. It is pure Brosnan era polish with a villain concept that keeps aging better, which is why fans ride for it. So yeah, I am not going to overcomplicate it. This is a Bond movie that absolutely does what it is supposed to do, and then it adds a villain concept that feels smarter every year. By the end, I am sitting around an 8.5 out of 10 on it, and for me that is a straight must-watch. Not a maybe one day, not a background movie. A must-watch, especially if you love Bond when he is at his most fun and the villain is basically weaponized media.